Good morning. New week. And this week is Alma Chapters 13 through 16. And for me today, it was chapter 13, verses 1 through 15. And so what's happening in these verses is that Alma is still preaching to the people of Ammonihah. And in these first couple of verses, he's just explaining, what is he explaining? He's explaining the nature of God, foreordination, and the priesthood. So that's what he's explaining in these first couple of verses. And there was a lot of really good stuff in my supplemental reading. And so first off, in verses 1 through 3, it talks about the foreknowledge of God. And it says, ordained after the order of his Son according to the foreknowledge of God on account of their faith. And it says that Alma establishes a further dimension of the contrast between faith and hardened hearts. Those with enduring faith are called to the holy order of the priesthood of God, whereas those with hardened hearts renounce claim on this supreme opportunity and blessing. And here's the part I liked. We are continually blessed according to our faith and good works, both in the premortal realm and immortality. We were prepared for our callings here upon the earth long before our birth. In the premortal courts of heaven, we received our first lessons in the world of spirits and were prepared to come forth in the due time of the Lord to labor in his vineyard for the salvation of the souls of men. And, I mean, so good. But I loved the part where it says, we were prepared for our callings here upon the earth long before our birth. And it's like, I don't know, anything that establishes that I'm here for a reason, I'm in this place for a reason, I'm in this time for a reason, you know, anything that has to do with that, just, I don't know, it just, it solidifies, it gives me hope, it gives me trust in the Lord, there's faith, but you gotta have faith, but there's also this evidence, this evidence that there is a point. There is a point to my life, there is a point to this time in my life, to this place, to the feelings I feel. I just, he can't come down out of the heavens and say, Haley, you're here for this reason and blah, blah, blah. That kind of evidence I'm looking for, like, yes, you're on the right track, but here it says, we were prepared before we were born to be here. So it gives me comfort in my life. So I really enjoyed that. And then, I didn't want to talk about that. It talks about the priesthood. And in verses 7 through 9, it's talking about the high priesthood and after the order of his Son and the foreknowledge and high priest forever. And it just gives a quote by Spencer W. Kimball saying that in the world before we came here, faithful women were given certain assignments, while faithful men were foreordained to certain priesthood tasks. While we do not now remember the particulars, this does not alter the glorious reality of what we once agreed to. We are accountable for those things which long ago were expected of us, just as are those whom we sustain as prophets and apostles. And again, it's all just like foreordination. And anyways, women were given certain assignments, while faithful men were foreordained to certain priesthood tasks. And this brought to mind that book by the Prophet's Wife, Wendy Nelson, and how in there it talks about my premortal or my mortal bucket list, you know, the things I agreed to in the premortal life that I'm supposed to do here on earth. And just the nature of my premortal life. I don't really think about my premortal life and what I agreed to and what that all means and what had happened there and who I was there, and maybe that's something I need to delve into a little bit more. That book really opened up my mind to it, of what, like, I don't know, it did, like, it was real. I was there. I was a person there, not a physical, mortal person, but I had my personality and my intelligence, and what was my being there? Who was I there? And what did I agree to? And, what was my relationship with Heavenly Father? Maybe go back and read my patriarchal blessing 1 or 2 times to really figure that out. But anyways, that was really something that opened up my mind and I really enjoyed. So now it talks about the doctrine of foreordination. And it was like 2 pages long, which was absolutely awesome. And I'm not going to read it all, but there was some really good stuff in there. And it says, foreordination is the premortal selection of individuals to come forth in mortality at specified times under certain conditions and to fill predesigned responsibilities. The LDS interpretation, foreordination, does not mean predetermined. It is the outcome of voluntary choice, not the violation of it. The idea of pre-existence and premortal preparation for earth life is hinted at in biblical sources, and evidence of it appears in some early Jewish Christian sources, but it has been less prominent in latter thought. Okay. So then it talks about how in the Bible it says that Abraham was this, and then Jeremiah was this, and then it says, Prophet Joseph Smith concluded that every man who has a calling to minister to the inhabitants of the world was ordained to that very purpose in the Grand Council of Heaven before this world was. And in addition to these foreordinations to priesthood callings, many spirits have been foreordained to specific nations and generations, which Paul characterized as the bounds of habitation, as well as to families and to varied assignments, work, and missions on earth. And I enjoyed this little section because it's like, I was foreordained to come to this nation and to this family. And it's like, we're not just thrown together. We are sisters because we are supposed to be. In the premortal existence, we were supposed to be together because, we're supposed, I don't know, maybe we have a great strength as sisters that other families don't have, or, I think we are very strong as sisters, and, some people don't quite understand our connection or why we're so involved in each other's lives, but I don't think there's anything that could tear us apart as sisters, And I think that's because we were preordained to be sisters. We were with each other in the premortal existence, and we're going to be with each other long after we're dead. So I really enjoyed that bit. And it goes on to say, while each of these selections is utterly based on the omniscience and foreknowledge of God, several factors may influence one's earthly circumstances. Foreordination comes as a blessing or reward for premortal righteousness and valiant commitment to Jesus Christ. And that little bit I enjoyed so much because it's like, again, talking about the premortal life and who we were there, our blessings in this life come as a reward of our righteousness in the life before. And I'm very grateful for who I was in the premortal life so that I could be born in to this gospel and to be sealed to my parents and to be raised in this gospel as well and to have this testimony that I have. I find that as a great blessing or reward for my righteousness in the previous life. Okay, moving on. Not completely, but to this next bit. It says, Latter-day Saints further believe that the times, places, and circumstances of birth into mortality may be the outcome of former covenants and decisions, as well as that which would be best in divine wisdom to provide both opportunities and challenges for the individual's growth and development. So this is like, I mean, we talk about this all the time. It's like trials are for our growth and development, but we were predestined to have these trials to help us grow, you know. So like this whole corona situation is predestined to help the world grow, to help us overcome our weaknesses, and just to be for our good in general. Okay, so then it goes, additionally, foreordination may also be based on God's own purposes and plans to bless all of his children. The specifics of these factors remain unclear. As a result, a person's premortal character can never be judged by his or her present station in life. So just because we were righteous in the premortal life doesn't mean that that's going to carry us through to the end. We have to continue to work and grow and be righteous and keep the commandments and follow Christ. Some of the most bitter and arduous circumstances may be, in the perspective of eternity, the most blessed, and perhaps even the situations that men and women elected and agreed to enter. I loved that so much. Again, going back to the Wendy Nelson book, I put one of the quotes on my wall, and it says, "To what did I agree in the premortal life that Heavenly Father is honoring and is therefore not able to respond to my present request?" I don't know why I love this so much, but I just do. It's like, okay, I'm going through a hard time. Why isn't he answering my prayers? Why isn't he taking this burden from me? Why isn't he helping me along? I'm struggling here. Doesn't he love me? Yes, he does. But you agreed to this in the pre-mortal life. You agreed to this. You signed up. You said, put me down for that one. I want that one. I agree to that. There's a choice. There's one over here and there's one over here, and you're like, that one. I'll take that one. Sign me up right now. And therefore he can't help you because you agreed to this trial. And he's like, Haley, you agreed to it, okay? I'm here to comfort you through it, but this is your trial and you agreed to it. You signed your name on the dotted line. This is your trial. So I loved that so much. But I loved here, it says, the most bitter and arduous circumstances may be, in the perspective of eternity, the most blessed. You just gotta think of your trials as a blessing and move on. Anyways, it goes, foreordination does not preclude the existence of agency. Foreordination is a conditional pre-appointment to or bestowal of certain blessings and responsibilities. So again, it's even though I said, yes, I agree to this, he's not taking away my agency in this life. I still get to choose how I react, where I go, if I listen to his promptings, that sort of thing. Okay. So, just to wrap up with the thing, here we go. Since God knows all things, for all things are present before his eyes, he anticipates our choices. However, he does not make the choices for us. Knowing our potential, he foreordains those who will help to bring about his purposes. Latter-day Saints extend this concept to embrace foreordination to the divinely appointed ministry or function. And so this is talking about how he doesn't take away our agency, but he knows all things. He knows how we're going to react. That is why the atonement was necessary. He knew we were going to fail. He knew we were going to stumble. He knew we were going to need some divine intervention. He knew that we couldn't do it ourselves. He knew that. And so therefore, he doesn't take away our choices. He kind of has not a backup plan. It's not a backup plan. It is the plan. So if he has a purpose and a design for my life, but I choose not to follow it, but that specific design was meant to influence and do good for the human race, he has somebody else step up and take my place if I choose not to fulfill that calling. Okay. And I think, oh no, and then it talks about the high priesthood, but I think we'll get into that tomorrow because it's further down in these other verses. It talks about Melchizedek, so we'll get into that tomorrow. Anyways, today was good. Today was real good. I enjoyed it a lot. All right. I love you all. Have a good day. Talk to you later.